Hello and welcome to coverage of Pro Tour Hour of Devastation. Maria Bartholdi here at the news desk, joined by our very own Hall of Famer Luis Scott Vargas and Rich Hagan. Rich, what are you most looking forward to this weekend? We've got 462 players competing for the title of champion.
I can't wait to watch two of them. Two of them Hall of Famers, Yuya Watanabe, Shota Yasuoka, both of Japan, both of Team Musashi, both on 65 pro points this season. One of them is probably going to go away as the Japanese national team captain for the World Magic Cup. Two of the greats of all time, round after round, back and forth. Can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be a great race to watch. Luis, what are you looking forward to?
Actually, new standard. There's just like a ton of awesome decks. We're going to see a lot of really creative stuff going on, and I'm excited to see kind of what the craziest brews are that people bring, since I suspect there'll be plenty.
Well, our very own Brian David Marshall is down on the floor amidst the action. Brian, tell us what you're seeing out there.
Thanks, Maria. I'm on the floor looking at 463 players as they settle into their seats for the first draft here at Pro Tour Hour of Devastation. And for a subset of these players, they're really concerned about the team series. This is the first season of the Pro Tour Team Series, and two teams from this Pro Tour are going to advance to the finals at the World Championship in Boston. Right now, Team Musashi has 119 points on the season, and they have a commanding lead. Team Genesis is in second place with 94 points. To give you an idea of how big that lead is, Genesis, which would right now be in the finals if the season ended today, is 25 points behind Musashi. Behind Team Genesis is MTG Mint Card. They're on 88 points. They have a 6-point deficit to close. Team Lingering Souls a little further back at 74 points. So they need 20 more pro points than Team Genesis if they want to leapfrog them. And then behind them is the Hall of Fame team, Team Puzzle Quest, and they are 21 points behind. So now to give you an idea of how that's going to work, team players, if they get to 10 and 6 on the weekend, they're going to get 6 pro points. So if the entirety of Team Puzzle Quest, if the entirety of Team Puzzle Quest gets to 10 and 6, and Team Genesis just basically shows up and does nothing, that's only going to be 18 extra points for Team Puzzle Quest, which would not be enough to close the gap. 11 and 5, things get a little more interesting. That's 10 points. And at 12 and 4, players get 15 pro points. And again, all 6 team members' pro point results are going to count for this. And for the past events, it's been your top 5 results. Now, once you get to the top 8, things get a little more interesting. You got 30 points for first, down to 16 points for 8th. So, getting into the top 8's a huge deal. One of the things that's worth noting, a lot of players thought this might be a small pro tour, and where 12 and 4 would be good enough to get into the top 8. But you know what? At 400, as 460 something players, that's not going to be very easy. Maybe one X and 4 player will make it. You're really going to be looking at X 3 and 1 or better to really get into the crazy point totals. So the team series, it's going to be hot and heavy down the stretch here at Pro Tour Hour of Devastation.
Thanks, Brian. Well, we're going to kick things off here with draft in the morning, and I love Limited so much. Thankfully, we've got Luis Scott Vargas to walk us through a little bit of what we can expect. So for you, what does the format look like as far as draft is concerned?
It's taken a kind of a step back in terms of speed compared to Triple M Enquête, and that gives people a lot more freedom to draft 3, 4, maybe even 5 color decks. Cards like Manolith are actually something that people are on the lookout for. We're not going to see as many 10th pick Manoliths as you might expect. You're going to see some aggressive decks still, but a lot more controlling decks, a lot more ramp decks, and a lot of interesting stuff going on.
So if people see big, splashy 7-drops like God Pharaoh's Gift, those things are on the table.
Oh, for sure. Not only are they on the table, but something like Nicol Bolas is just a great first pick.
So you're slamming Nicol if you were to open him?
Yeah, I think I would take something like Sand Strangler over Nicol Bolas, but it's still pretty close, and the fact that a 3-color 7-drop is good enough really speaks to where this format is compared to, say, the last one.
Absolutely. In your point of view, what do you think are the strongest color pairs, or what strategy would you be most interested in going into draft?
Multicolor green ramp is it's a broad range of strategies, so it's maybe a little unfair to say it's just one, but that's something I'd definitely be on the lookout for. Green-white aggressive decks, black-white zombies, red-black aggro. These are all decks that I think are fine to draft. Blue-black cycling actually got a lot better because of the cycling deserts.
Oh, that's so
'Cause
true.
You now get to play 2 to 4 more cycling cards without cutting into your spell slots.
Speaking of things getting better or worse, what do you think kind of took a downgrade with Hour of Devastation, and what do you think got better?
Red-white aggro certainly got worse. There are fewer cartouches of both Zeal and Solidarity, and that makes, there's fewer Gust Walkers. That makes that kind of strategy a little harder to put together. As for what got better, certainly more expensive cards got better. You're now looking at people playing 6s and 7s and playing 3 colors and things that you couldn't really do before.
So what are some signpost cards, if you see coming around the table like 4th pick, 5th pick, that say to you this archetype is open and I'm moving in?
Something like a Cursed Horde or Catcher's Avenger, indicate like a Cursed Horde could indicate zombies is open, or Catcher's Avenger that white-based aggro is open. One of the interesting features about this format is you can be the same colors as the person to your right and be drafting 2 very different decks, because a green-white ramp deck does not want the same cards as a green-white aggro deck. So you can actually cooperate in that sense, and that's why looking at cards like Catcher's Avenger is so important, because the ramp deck's not quite as interested in it.
Right. How good do you think Eternalize is? I mean, we've got cards like Proven Combatant, which is kind of like the test case for Eternalize. It's a 1/1 that turns into a 4/4.
Eternalize is 4 out of 4. I would Eternalize again. It's good. It's I think a lot more impactful than Embalm was, partially because the 4/4s are bigger than what the Embalmed creatures were, and partially because the format's slower. You actually have time to Eternalize, pay 6 or 7 mana to bring out your 4/4.
How about Afflict? Because that's getting you incidental value whether or not your creature survives the combat. How do you feel about that mechanic?
You need to be aggressive to really take advantage of it. You don't care too much, a card like Kenra Eternal, the 2/2 Afflict 1. You don't care a whole lot if you're a control deck about having that card in your deck, but if you're an aggro deck and they're 6 life, that card becomes much more threatening.
So blocking was really bad in Amonkhet. Has it gotten better right now?
It certainly has. There are cards, like Ronus' Stalwart, which make blocking hard, or like a Catcher's Avenger, but for the most part, I think that blocking is a more viable strategy. You're actually able to block now, and it is something that you can do with success.
How do you feel about strategies like the blue-red spells versus something like Ramp? Is that a deck you like as well?
I like blue-red spells a lot. I kind of like a natural predilection towards archetypes like this, but the fact that it got some good aggressive creatures like Spellweaver Eternal, Bloodwater Entity, these are cards that really push the aggressive nature of the deck. So it looks a little different from the blue-red spells deck in Triple Amonkhet, but it's still very good.
Thanks, Luis.
No problem.
Well, Rich has got a look at our feature pod. Who are we going to be watching? Rich.
It's a fantastic table. We'll put it up on screen for you. Let's start with Hall of Famer from the Netherlands, Bram Snepvangers. He has 4 Pro Tour lifetime top 8s. Last one way back at Rome World Championship 2009. He's at the top center. He's going to be feeding Mike Sigrist from Team Channel Fireball Ice. They're currently in 8th place on the periphery of the Team Series Championship race, you would think. He, of course, is the Player of the Year from 2015. Then he's going to pass to Lucas Blahon. Now, this is Team Genesis. They are 2nd place. That means right now they are in the World Championship final. And he, on a personal level, is 3 points adrift of a personal World Championship slot, potentially in Boston. He could be playing in both the individual and the team world title matches later this year. Then it's Kintaro Yamamoto, and these two, the interesting Blahon passing to Yamamoto. Yamamoto is on Team Masashi, so they are in 1st place in the team series. It's 1 against 2. Potentially they get a chance to knock each other down a peg or 2 during the draft. Yamamoto in this red-hot Japanese team that has been dominating the team series so far. Then it's on to Jacob Wilson. Now, Jacob hasn't been playing a lot of Magic lately. He's in college at the moment, playing a lot of other games. He's on Team Face to Face. They're currently 9th in the team series. And then someone I'm super interested in, this is Chen of the United States. Now, this always happens on day 1 of the feature match table. We get someone who's playing in their first PT, and you think, have they got any chance against these great names? I think Chen has. He's 21, 1st Pro Tour. He is the Pro Tour qualifier winner from Grand Prix New Jersey. Remember, on Sundays at Grand Prix, we have these giant PTQs. He is the Pro Tour qualifier winner from there, and a very, very good early Grand Prix career for him, 65% win rate. Then it's Dagoberto Israel Silva Aranda from Mexico, 4 lifetime pro points for him. And rounding out the table, we have Nam Sung Wook from MTG Mint Card. That's 3rd in the team series. So Maria, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd in the team series, all on our feature pod. And they are ready to go.
That is an amazing pod. I'm so excited to take a look at these players. Well, our players are ready, so let's head down to the feature match area for the draft here at Pro Tour Hour of Devastation.
Thank you, Maria. Marshall Sutcliffe here in the booth, and I've got with me Paul Chen. Paul, welcome to the booth. It's great to have you along.
It's good to be here. Good to be here. Really excited.
Yeah, we got him in for the draft, too. We're just threw him right in the deep end, so we'll see how Paul
Let's go.
does here with all the new cards and all the new excitement here from Hour of Devastation. And you got a chance to see our table and how it's going to be set out. We're going to be starting off, Paul, with really one of the better players in the room, Kintaro Yamamoto from Japan. 3 Pro Tour top 8s on his resume, and he plays for the #1 team, Team Musashi.
Yeah. I had a chance to play against Kintaro once, and this was kind of just a way to showcase his mastery. I played against him in what was considered a very good matchup. I played a green-black Cryptolith right deck. He mulliganed to 4, and he beat me.
Okay, not bad. And we'll see how he approaches this draft format. There's a lot of different ways to do it, but the players are ready. Let's head on down to the feature match area for the first draft here from Pro Tour Hour of Devastation. I could not hear you count me in before. Hello and welcome to coverage of Pro Tour Hour of Devastation. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Paul Cheon, and we're ready for that all-important first draft. This is where things get kicking for our players. You know, the nerves, the excitement level is highest, and we're going to start things off with Kintaro Yamamoto from Japan. He's got 3 Pro Tour top 8s, and he plays for the current #1 team by a lot, by the way, Team Musashi. Paul, let's take a look at what Kintaro opens up in his first pack here.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see kind of the approach that people take to this draft format now. The format slowed down a ton.
Right.
You have 2 less packs of cartouches. Blocking is actually a thing. And the really nice thing is I think the colors are far more balanced than it used to be. I think back in Amonkhet, white was just clearly the best color. And now, you know, blue is actually playable.
All right, let's see what Kintaro's opened up here in his first pack. He's taking a look. His rare is called Hour of Promise, but he's also got a very strong uncommon with Ominous Sphinx. And there's one of the premium commons in this set, Oketra's Avenger, in here as well.
Yeah, Catcher's Avenger, incredibly powerful. In fact, probably one of the best commons. A lot of premium commons, actually. We also have an Oasis Ritualist. Luis was talking about, you know, drafting the 3 or 4 color decks, and that is kind of the staple card that you want to pick up for those decks. But I would imagine that Kintaro is likely going to be looking at the Ominous Sphinx. There is an Hour of Promise. Now, if you want to go really big on the ramp, you could take that, but it is a bit more build around. You need to make sure you have at least like 3 deserts in your deck to actually get that to function.
Yeah, like, and 3 is the absolute bare minimum.
Right.
You'd prefer to have 5, maybe even 6 to really make it consistently good.
Yeah, and if you do, the payoff is there. But Ominous
Yes.
Sphinx, I mean, 5-mana 4/4 flyer with upside, it's really hard to pass on that.
That's right. Now he's been passed a Puncturing Blow, which looks like the best card in the pack. There's also Aronis' Stalwart, which you see Kintaro's pulled to the front of his pack.
Yeah, so I think the Baroness Stalwart is actually a card that I prefer to have in my deck. I just like to, you know, make sure I pick up my 2-drops when I'm drafting. But blue does pair very, very well with red. So I wouldn't be surprised if he goes with the Puncturing Blow, because generally if I'm blue-green, I'm probably looking to ramp. And in those decks, Aronis' Stalwart, not so great.
That's right. Yeah, fine play on turn 2, but like you said, much more assertive card as
Right.
an aggressive 2-drop, not particularly great at blocking, but quite good at attacking. Kintaro takes the Puncturing Blow there, and you know, the first 2 picks, at least if I was sitting in a seat, I'd be quite happy.
Oh, yeah.
This is a color pair I'm very happy to be in this format. In fact, I think it's just straight up my favorite color pair is blue-red. Though I've noticed that Kintaro keeps pulling the green cards to the front, and you know, he does have a really good green option here with Tenacious Hunter.
Right.
There's also a Harrier Naga in the pack, which is a solid playable.
Yeah.
Also Dauntless Haven.
Yeah, the Dauntless Haven, also a great card. I think Tenacious Hunter is just kind of the most powerful card of the pack.
Yeah.
If you look at the blue and red cards, there's just nothing you really want. So I think Kintaro's just going to opt to take the most powerful card in the pack, which is the Tenacious Hunter.
Yeah, this is smart drafting from Kintaro. At this point, you don't want to lock in on blue-red just because your first 2 picks were those colors. Kintaro's going to be reading the table, seeing what colors are open, and it looks like he feels like green's open, and I kind of agree with him at this point.
Yeah, he's got a premium
Ooh.
card in blue, green, and red. Okay, so now,
Wow.
does Kintaro want to go deep here with a card like the Oasis Ritualist, or does he want to take the Eternal of Harsh Truths here, which is just kind of a nice way to get ahead on cards.
By the way, another Harrier Naga in the pack.
Yeah, and what's the funny thing about the Harrier Naga is, back in the day, I would be like, oh, 3-mana 3/3, that is great. But there's just a lot of 3-mana creatures in the format, and a lot of them have just a lot more utility than just vanilla 3/3. So I've just seen people look to take something else. And I think he went with the Oasis Ritualist.
All right.
He could just play all of his first 4 picks.
Yeah, this is kind of cool. And here's an interesting decision for him. He's got a Desert of the Mindful in there, but there's also a Rampaging Hippo, which is a really nice top end, but also cycling card in case you don't end up getting the mana you need at the time you need it.
Yeah. I actually prefer this to something like the Greater Sandworm. The Greater Sandworm is much bigger, but the difference between 6 and 7 is huge. And with the Oasis Ritualist, you can kind of just get this out on turn 5, even if you miss your land drop.
Yeah, it turns out Rampaging Hippo was the greatest sandworm after all.
Look at that thing.
He's very happy about it.
Very hungry.
Yeah. Yep. That's what Paul looks like right before breakfast, actually.
Just like every 2 hours, more or less.
Here's a couple of reasonable options for Kintaro in green. There's a Dune Diviner and a Sidewinder Naga. Neither of these are premium cards, but they're both playable.
Yeah, and this is what I was talking about. There's just a ton of 3-drops to choose for him. So Harrier Naga, again, not something you take because you can just take a card like Sidewinder Naga, and this does have upside as well. Oftentimes, people in this format will take deserts highly. If you noticed, if you look at a lot of these packs, there's a lot of playables. So if you see, we haven't even seen that many deserts. I think people have just been taking them highly.
Interesting option here for Kintaro, a relatively late Lethal Sting. I think that card's gone down a little bit in many people's estimation, but it's still a good card and a card you'd play in your deck. There's also a Merciless Eternal in the pack, so he's actually going to move over into black here. Now, this is more of a speculative pick rather than something where he's committing, but that does raise an eyebrow, does it not?
Yeah, it's a pretty late Lethal Sting. It could be a sign. And the thing is, if you're looking to be green, it's a very easy to splash card. If you find that you're kind of lacking removal, you can just put a Lethal Sting into your deck.
Here's a Kenra Eternal now.
Yeah, not a lot here anymore. It looks like he doesn't want to take the Kenra Eternal. Kenra Eternal much better if you're looking to attack. If you're looking to be more aggressive, because otherwise it's basically just a Grizzly Bear. And what I talked about for the Harrier Naga, that is a really, really late Harrier Naga. It is not getting any respect.
No kidding. Yeah, Kintaro's like, sure, I'll take it. I mean, look, I agree.
Yeah.
The 3-drop slot is crowded, but Harrier Naga's a fine Magic card.
Yeah. I'm not going to be upset to get a 10th pick Harrier Naga.
No kidding. And this is an interesting choice because there's 3 playable black cards. There's Razaketh's Rice, Lurching Rotbeast, and then the best one of the bunch, which is a Wretched Camel, though at the moment, Kintaro has no deserts.
He doesn't have any deserts, but it's got the highest upside, and Kintaro's also kind of short on the cheap creatures, so I do like the pick of just making sure he's got his curve covered.
Now, it looks like he's going to take a desert here. Though
I don't think he really wants to play
not
this
one you
one.
want. Yeah, exactly. But I'll tell you what, the days of picking up late deserts are long behind us.
Right.
You know, those people know that if you want to pick up one of the common cycling deserts or the uncommon spell deserts.
And this is exactly what I meant. Both of these cards, playable Magic cards, and this is why a lot of these players are taking deserts very early, very highly.
For sure.
And this is the Pro Tour. You know, if you're just kind of drafting at home with your friends, you're going to get desert 6th, 7th, 8th pick. But here, the only desert you're going to get is the colorless one that you really don't want to play.
Right. So if Kintaro wants to go for the desert sub-theme, he will need to prioritize those in the next pack because he gets one more pack of Hour of Devastation, and the deserts in Amonkhet, way worse.
Oh, yeah. They're all colorless. None of them tap for color. And just kind of based on the first pack, he was happy with his first pick, but he didn't see any blue afterwards. So it looks like he's going to opt to go into either black-green or red-green. Didn't really see a whole lot of red cards either. All he saw was the second pick, Puncturing Blast, and nothing really to note afterwards. But, Kintaro is setting himself up nicely. He is basically mono green. Green does allow you to play a lot of different colors. So, if he just opens a bomb in a different color, he's just going to take it and just try to go for power.
That's right. He could go into blue, or he could go into red, or he could go into black for his secondary color, or, as we've seen, he could even play multiples of those.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Especially with the existence of all the Aftermath cards in the format, there's just so much more incentive to go into 3 or 4 colors because you get to maximize on the value of all of those cards. And most other decks aren't going to be able to play those spells, or at least both halves of the spell.
All right, looks like they're getting geared up here for pack number 2 for Kintaro.
One thing to note as well, in Hour of Reckoning, lots of sweepers. So, that's kind of the way you get to kind of come back from behind. Ooh, what do we have here?
Well, he found another copy of Rampaging Hippo.
Yeah, but there's also a desert in there.
There's also a Ronus's Last Stand, Paul. This is a very powerful 2-mana 5/4. I know you might think I'm joking if I said that, but honestly, this card is really, really strong at 5/4 for 2, but it is double green, and it does slow you down quite a bit. Let's see if Kintaro wants it.
I'm actually a little bit surprised he has the Rampaging Hippo at the top of the pile instead of either the deserts or the Ronus's Last Stand here. Is he really going to take the Hippo here?
Let's see what
I mean, the Hippo.
He loves the Hippo.
It's so big.
I thought I loved the Hippo.
Oh,
Kintaro just won up me in a big way.
Yeah. It is a great finisher. It is a great finisher.
That is a certainly more solid pick, but wow, if you've ever cast Ronus's Last Stand on turn 2, it's good for 10 damage every single time. And here's a Ronus's Stalwart that he's pulled to the front. And this starts to get kind of interesting because the deck is starting to look a little bit more aggressive, right? A little more, maybe not aggressive, but a little more consistently green here.
Yeah, this doesn't really look like it's looking to be kind of a 3 or 4 color control deck. It looks like he just wants to curve out and then just have his top end be the Rampaging Hippos.
Right, exactly, rather than the kind of fancy stuff that...
Right. Because if he wanted to be more defensive, he could certainly just go ahead and take the Feral Prowler there just to try to survive to the late game. But he doesn't have, the payoff rares in his deck yet. So it's better to just, in that case, look to just curve out and be aggressive.
What if he wheels the Ronus's Last Stand?
That seems pretty unlikely, but if he does, that would be very exciting.
He'd be a genius, right?
And what do we have? I saw another Ritualist here.
Ooh, Desert's Hold.
Desert's Hold.
In the color he's not in yet.
Right, but he does
the
have
only one.
Yeah, but he does have a Ritualist. And again, there are a lot of ways to splash, and it's a very powerful card. And, if he looks to find a couple of deserts, the three life is huge when you're in a racing situation. He could also consider just taking the desert here.
Yeah, the Desert of the Glorified was an option as well. But he's going to take the most powerful card. And let's remember here, you don't need deserts to play Desert's Hold. It just gives it a marginal bonus. The 3 life is nice, but...
It's not the same. Are we going to go for number 3?
Hippo number 3, or is he going to go for the Ronus's Stalwart?
I imagine he's going to go for the Stalwart here. But who knows?
Oh, Kintaro's a Hippo fan.
We could just have a Hippo party over here.
What is it? What is a group of hippos called?
I have no idea.
I bet you Kintaro knows.
He probably does.
Well, I will say one thing. Green certainly seems open.
Oh,
because
absolutely.
It felt open coming from the other direction, and it feels open coming from this direction too. So lots of green.
Yeah, the one card that Kintaro is missing from his deck is kind of largely considered to be like the best common in the set, which is Ambuscade. He's looking for a few more ways, a few more removal effects, and he does have a Desert's Hold, and it's not really clear what his second color is. He's just mono green with a bunch of cards.
Chat says it's called a Crash of Hippos.
Really? I thought it was a Crash of Rhinos.
I thought that too. Okay, it's not. All right, we've got our crack investigation team on it, and it is either a bloat or a pod of hippos.
A bloat of hippos. I love that.
Ooh, here's Desert of the Indomitable for Kintaro.
Oh, he's gonna slam this desert.
He loves seeing this.
Yeah.
Again, when you're sitting in Kintaro's seat here, it's getting a little hot under the collar, right? You're like, I don't have any deserts that I really want to play. Now he picks up perhaps the best possible option at Desert of the
Absolutely. He's got to be thrilled to pick up that 5th or 6th pick at Desert of the Indomitable. All right, another desert payoff card.
There's also a Desert of the True, though.
Oh, and there's a Vizier of the Anointed. Ooh. It's an incredibly powerful card. Look, he's got basically mono green cards, a couple of mediocre cards in other colors. The Vizier of the Anointed is quite powerful, but he's opting to just kind of stay on theme here with the Sidewinder Naga. Have you drafted mono green Stompy yet?
No.
All right, Gift of Strength. It's the only green card in the pack. The Merciless Eternal is also fine. He does have some black cards that he picked up, but it looks like he's still trying to stay open and take the card that he knows for sure is going to make his deck.
This is kind of one of those weird things where he might stay so open by just keeping.
Oh my!
Wow, another Desert of the Indomitable. It is weird, right? When the set first came out, I wouldn't have predicted that you and I would be here being like, "Oh, a Desert of the Indomitable, like ninth or whatever." But that is how you have to view these.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
You know, early on when I was drafting this format, I had decks with 6 or 7 deserts, and it was awesome. And then I think people just started kind of figuring out that you're just going to end up with 30 playables. So again, just value the deserts highly.
So is Kintaro so open that he's just mono green at this point? Like
he's mono green with a deserts hold, I believe.
Yeah.
Wow, look at that. There's an Oasis Ritualist with 4
what
cards
the
left.
World?
Wow. The world is his oyster.
Look at Kintaro. He shows no emotion,
look
but
at
inside he's
face.
like, yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Wow.
Jumping for joy inside.
No kidding. How is that Oasis Ritualist still in there?
One really interesting thing, actually, the pack previously, he took a Saving Grace over Dauntless Aven.
Huh.
And he's got multiple copies of Ronus' Stalwart. So that was a little bit surprising to me because if he does want to be white, being able to untap his exerted 2-drops seems very powerful.
He must not be into green-white or not view this particular draft going that way because, yeah, that's a powerful interaction.
Yeah.
And it's an easy one to set up. 2-drop into 3-drop is very clean.
Right.
He may be thinking he's black. He's pulled the black cards in, and then the Desert's hold as well. Right. Though, I got to say, he's got 2 Sidewinder Nagas. He's got 2 Ronus' Stalwarts. Like, he's actually looking to be a kind of just a mid-range, like you called it a stompy deck, right? Just to pound you with these.
Yeah, the Ritualists feel a little weird in this deck because you're looking to curve out a little bit more. But he did take, again, that Gift of Strength pretty out. And he's got, 3 deserts, 4 if he really wants to play the colorless one, but don't think he's going to need to.
That's right. Yeah, Crypt of the Eternals, of course, not a desert.
Yeah. But he does have 3 cards that actually, 4 cards that care about deserts.
Yeah.
Although Desert's Hold doesn't really count, right? Like, you don't really care if you have a desert or not with that card.
Right.
But.
Yeah, I would guess we still won't see the Dunes of the Dead.
Right.
It's just too bad.
It's so bad.
Yeah. So right now, Kintaro's looking at his options, and he says, okay, well, what if I'm green-black mid-range? And he's taking a look at how that looks. He's also, of course, got the Puncturing Blow that he took second pick in this draft, so that's an option. Look, anything could happen in the third pack here, right? Like, he just opens Glorybringer, and it's like, well.
Right, and the thing is, right now, if you look at his white cards, his white cards might actually just be better than his black cards, right? Because like that, the Desert's Hold is just so much better than all the other black cards that he has in his deck. So again, if he opens like an Angel of Sanctions,
boom,
he's just moving in.
Definitely. I can't wait to see what he opens up here because he honestly just has not decided on his second color yet, and that's a good thing. He has the luxury of waiting till his third pack. That doesn't happen very often.
I really wanted to see that Ronus' Last Stand table.
I did too. I tried to set it up for you, Paul. I was just like lobbing one up.
God. Yeah.
I also wanted to see him take it.
Right.
For what it's worth.
I was actually still surprised.
Excellent. Yeah.
Just the upside for that. You play that on turn 2.
Okay, this is a good start.
Oh, there it is!
Archfiend of Ifnir! He was pretty happy about the final reward, but since he was leaning towards black anyway, he's just going to windmill the Archfiend of Ifnir and just go off.
Oh, man.
Loving that.
To be a player of Kintaro Yamamoto's caliber and then just open one of the best rares in the set in the last pack.
That would be nice.
I don't know what either of those feel like.
Oh, man.
It's a nice life.
I was going to say it, but
I was protecting myself.
I figured first time in the booth.
Right. No, I'm good. Or bad.
Wow. Archfiend of Ifnir opened up here for Kintaro Yamamoto. So now he's thinking, okay, that Lethal Sting looks pretty good. I'll be running that.
Yeah. Oh, wow. What is going on?
Oh,
I was just about to say that Kintaro probably wants to pick up a couple of more 2-drops, for his deck. And I was looking at the Initiate's Companion. I'm like, oh, this is probably a fine card in his deck. And then, of course, we just see probably the best possible 2-drop for him.
Wow.
Naga Vitalist would also probably be great because he wants the ramp. But, I mean, come on. Wow.
He even has that Lethal Sting.
Yeah, it actually you can turn to a Padre turn 3 Lethal Sting.
What?
Wow.
Oh, man. Kintaro.
just give us a little smile. You know, I would at least just be.
No, I've covered him a lot. You're not getting anything out of Kintaro. Maybe if he wins the Pro Tour.
Or like do the opposite, kind of like shake your head and like.
Oh, I like that one. I like that play. Not. Oh, and now a Decimator Beetle. What in the world?
All right, we got a pre-constructed deck here, folks.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
What is even happening? He's going to wheel 2 Ornery Kudus.
I'm glad this was one of those just really interesting drafts where we have to really choose between some really tough choices.
Yeah, Kintaro threw you a softball here for the first one. Oh my! The chat was calling it too.
Decimator Beetle.
Yeah. This is just absurd.
All right, what's coming? A Cartouche of Strength, maybe?
Sure.
Yeah, why not?
Or maybe Ambition. It puts a -1/-1 counter.
Oh, that's true. Okay.
How about Hoodie B?
Hoodie B. Hoodie B's not bad.
Yeah, Hooded
Does he have any
Brawler.
red cards?
Only double.
Only double. Okay.
Yeah. So Hooded Brawler looks like a fine pickup here.
Yeah, it's a great addition. Is he looking at the Ordinary Kudu because he has that Patra?
He is, except for that I think he's going to get either 1 or 2 Ornery Kudus back on the wheel from his first 3 picks.
And Brawler is just such a premium creature.
It's so much better than Ornery Kudu that I think that you just take it over it, even though the synergy isn't quite as high.
Right.
The power level's just there.
Yeah.
It's a 5/4 for 3, man. Like, that's a 2/3.
One thing I will note that is that the kind of the black-green counter synergy, there's a lot less of that because there's not really a whole lot of support for it.
Are you kidding me, Paul?
I was saying something interesting, but now we're
Paul,
just,
are you kidding me? What is happening
Well,
here?
you know what? This is just called reading the signals and getting rewarded, right?
That's
That's what this is all about.
Wow. I want to forget everything I know about Limited and just figure out whatever Kintaro does.
Kintaro does have a problem.
What's his problem?
He's got too many good expensive cards. He's just like good card flooded, you know?
Oh, he certainly is that. He is certainly that.
Wow.
This is unreal.
Oh, okay. Why not? Another Hooded Brawler. Is he the only green drafter? Wait, no. Somebody took the Ronus' last stand.
It was probably the person on his left just cut it as it came back.
Just like Mike Sigros just cut it from him.
He's just like, I can't do this. Man, Hooded
Wow.
Like, normally we would be excited about this Hooded Brawler, and yet it's just like, well, whatever.
No, that's just par for the course now.
Right.
Wait, what?
What?
Oh, my goodness. What is happening?
He just took Honor Crop Captain.
Is he hate drafting from... Who was he passing to? Because that might actually be a hate draft.
Here's
because
the
of the
graphic.
because of the team situation. He is passing to Jacob Wilson.
Wow, he must not be a very big Jacob Wilson fan because that was a strong cut.
Wow.
He had access to a card that would 100% make the main deck Hooded Brawler, and he decided to cut a gold rare. He must feel that he has so many playables and his deck is already locked in that he has picks to just throw away on
He's looking to 3-0 this draft, and he's like, I am going to lose to this captain, and I might play Jacob in the last round.
And his
to
deck
be able
is
to
so good, he just doesn't care about
to
passing
be able
a
to
Hooded
just
Brawler.
throw away a Hooded Brawler like that. Oh my! What happened?
I mean, look, if it was another, Initiate's Companion, you're like, well,
Right, maybe.
But that's a Hooded Brawler.
Yeah, that's one of the best green cards in the set for common.
Wow, Kintaro Yamamoto doing it.
All right, we got a couple of sideboard options here: Haze of Pollen and Manglehorn. All right,
He's going to go for the Haze.
interesting. There are some artifacts that are quite powerful. We have the Edifice of Authority and God Pharaoh's Gift.
That's
which
right.
might actually see in Standard.
I had
later
my
today.
God Pharaoh's Gift Manglehorn once. That felt bad. I mean, I did get one thing out of it
Right.
first, but
So-
still. That felt real bad, man.
I'm still shocked about that hate
I am
draft.
too. So here's the wheeled.
Well, okay, he's just like, I'm gonna get a 3-drop anyways.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was a reasonable guess. There is another one he could get too, though. The pack is getting pretty thin. That might have actually been the second one.
Right.
Yeah, so he's not going to get back another one, but he's still got one of the ornery kudus, so fair enough.
Yeah, but talk about what a last pack that was.
Wow,
Kintaro.
unbelievable for Kintaro. Yeah, he's just
Okay.
going to...
Just the last few picks, but getting just all the premium gold cards on color.
This is the point, Paul, where I normally ask you to grade Kentaro's pool and also his how he drafted his seat, but I have a feeling I know what you're gonna say.
Yeah, again, the only pick I'm not sure about was the Hooded Brawler pick. because oftentimes in draft, you just want to make sure you have the best possible deck because you're so unlikely to play against the person that you're passing to.
I mean, that can't be right. It's
I don't know.
Paul, have you read that card?
He's on Team Musashi. They're first place. Maybe they know something we don't with drafts.
They probably do. Yeah, wow. Incredible stuff for Kintaro. You know, a combination of him, honestly, let's remember, he was smart in that first pack to stay open. He could have been, remember his first 2 picks? Blue and red.
Right.
Like, he's not playing either of those. He's not playing any cards from those colors. So we got to give Kintaro credit where credit's due. He stayed open enough to get that Tenacious Hunter and go, okay, green's looking open. He saw a lot of the Harrier Naga type cards, and then he just moved in on green, and that was the correct play. Now, from then on, it was a little bit autopilot. Right. He just got so many awesome cards, just sent to him and opened up from the packs. But still, credit where credit's due. He did stay open and get into green.
Yeah, he did an awesome job just kind of reading the signals, just taking all the green cards, staying open, and then just kind of letting the packs dictate where to go. Yeah. And turns out opening Archfiend of Ithni in the last pack and getting past all great black-green cards was the way to go.
The way to go is wherever Kintaro Yamamoto is going in this draft, and I will follow him in that direction. Okay, that's going to do it for our first draft, but we got more draft action coming up for you as well as the rounds. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back after these messages.